Daniel Harper woke up at 5 in the morning, like he did every day. He put on his work clothes and walked down the metal hallway of Kepler Station. The lights above him made a soft, humming sound. He had lived on this station for 14 years. He knew every pipe, every wire, and every broken panel. This place was his home. Kepler Station floated in space near a giant planet called Thessaly 7. The planet was made of gas and had rings around it. It was beautiful to look at, but no one could live there. The station was built for research and mining. 200 people lived here. Scientists, engineers, families, and workers. They were far from Earth, but they had made a good life. Daniel stopped at a small door and knocked softly. A moment later, his daughter Lily opened it. She was 9 years old, with brown hair and big eyes. She smiled when she saw him. "Good morning, Dad," she said. "Good morning, sweetheart," Daniel said. He bent down and kissed her forehead. "Did you sleep well?" "I had a dream about Mom," Lily said. Her voice was quiet. Daniel felt a pain in his chest. His wife Maria had died 2 years ago from a sickness that spread through the station. The doctors could not save her. Daniel had held her hand until the very end. He had promised her one thing. He would protect their daughter no matter what. "She is always with us," Daniel said. He touched his heart. "Right here." Lily nodded. She was young, but she understood more than most children her age. Life in space made you grow up fast. Daniel took Lily to the eating hall for breakfast. They sat with other families and talked about normal things. The food was not great, but it was enough. After breakfast, Lily went to the schoolroom, and Daniel went to work. His job was to fix things. Pipes that leaked, machines that stopped working, power systems that needed attention. It was simple work, but it was important. Without engineers like Daniel, the station would fall apart. The morning passed without any problems. Daniel fixed a water pump on level 3. He checked the air filters on level 5. He talked with his friend Sam about a card game they were planning for the weekend. Everything was normal. Then the alarm started. It was a loud sound that filled every room on the station. Daniel had heard it before during drills, but this time it felt different. There was real fear in the way people moved. He ran to the control room. Commander Grace Mitchell was standing at the main screen. She was a strong woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had led this station for 10 years. Daniel had never seen her look afraid. But today, her face was pale. "What is happening?" Daniel asked. Commander Mitchell pointed at the screen. Daniel looked and felt his blood go cold. A ship was coming toward them. It was not a human ship. It was large and dark, shaped like a blade. There were strange marks on its side that Daniel did not recognize. "Vectari," Commander Mitchell said. "They found us." Daniel had heard stories about the Vectari. Everyone had. They were an alien species from the outer parts of the galaxy. They did not want peace. They did not want trade. They wanted control. Every planet and station they visited ended the same way. Destruction or slavery. "Can we fight them?" Daniel asked. "Our weapons are made for rocks, not warships," Commander Mitchell said. "We have no chance. Then we run. They are too fast. They will catch any ship we send out." Daniel felt his hands shake. He thought of Lily in the schoolroom. He thought of his promise to Maria. "What do we do?" he asked. Commander Mitchell looked at him. For a moment, she did not speak. Then she said, "We survive. Any way we can." The next few hours were chaos. People ran through the halls. Some cried. Some screamed. Some just stood still, too afraid to move. Daniel found Lily and held her close. He took her to their room and locked the door. "Dad, what is happening?" Lily asked. Her voice was shaking. "Bad people are coming," Daniel said. He did not want to lie to her. but I will protect you. I promise. The Victari ship reached the station in the evening. Daniel heard the sounds of their boarding pods hitting the outer walls. Metal against metal. Then came the footsteps. Heavy and slow. The Victari were inside. They moved through the station like hunters. They broke down doors. They pulled people from their rooms. Anyone who tried to fight was killed on the spot. Daniel watched through a crack in his door as two Victari soldiers walked past. They were tall, almost 8 feet. Their skin was gray and hard like stone. Their eyes were black and empty dot when they broke down his door. Daniel did not fight. He stood in front of Lily with his hands up. "Do not hurt her," he said. "Please." The Victari did not answer. They grabbed Daniel by the arm and pushed him forward. Another soldier took Lily. She screamed and reached for her father. "It is okay," Daniel said, trying to keep his voice calm. "Stay close to me. Do not fight." They were taken to the cargo bay. All 200 people on the station were there, standing in groups. Some were injured. Some were crying. Armed Victari soldiers stood around them in a circle. Then the commander of the Victari entered. His name was Vorath. He was taller than the others, and his body was covered in old scars. He wore armor that looked like bones tied together. When he walked, the other Victari moved out of his way. He stopped in the middle of the cargo bay and looked at the humans. "You are weak," Vorath said. His voice was deep and rough. "You are small. You are nothing." No one spoke. No one dared. Vorath walked among the prisoners. He stopped in front of different people and looked at them. Some he pointed at. Those people were taken away by soldiers. No one knew where they went. No one saw them again. Daniel held Lily behind him. He prayed that Vorath would not notice them. But the alien commander walked straight toward them. He stopped and looked down at Lily. "A child," Vorath said. He sounded curious. "So fragile. So easy to break." Daniel stepped forward. His heart was beating so fast he thought it would explode. "She is my daughter," Daniel said. "If you want to hurt someone, hurt me. Leave her alone." Vorath looked at Daniel for a long time. His black eyes showed nothing. No anger. No pity. Nothing at all, Then he smiled. It was a terrible smile. "Interesting," Vorath said. "You will be useful." He turned and walked away. The soldiers pushed Daniel and Lily back with the other prisoners. But Daniel knew this was not over. Something bad was coming. He could feel it in his bones, and he was right. The prisoners spent the night in the cargo bay. There was no food. There was no water. The lights stayed on all the time. People sat on the cold metal floor and waited. Some slept, but most could not. Daniel sat against the wall with Lily in his arms. She had cried for hours, but now she was quiet. Her eyes were red and tired. Daniel stroked her hair and told her stories about Earth, about the trees and the rivers and the blue sky. He had grown up in Oregon, in a small town near the mountains. He told her about fishing with his father, about playing with his brother Kevin and his sister Claire, about meeting her mother at a summer fair. "Will we ever see Earth?" Lily asked in a small voice. "Yes," Daniel said. "One day. I promise." He did not know if it was true, but he needed her to have hope. In the morning, the Victari soldiers came back. They brought water in metal containers. People drank fast and pushed each other to get more. Then the soldiers brought bread. It was hard and dry, but no one complained. They ate everything. Vorath entered the cargo bay an hour later. He stood in the center and looked at the prisoners. "I have questions," he said. "Some of you have answers. Those who help me will be treated well. Those who do not will suffer." He pointed at a young man near the front. A soldier grabbed him and pulled him forward. "You work in communications," Vorath said. It was not a question. You have access to military codes. The young man was shaking. His name was Peter. Daniel knew him. He was a good kid, only 22 years old. He had come to the station 6 months ago to work with the science team. I do not have military codes, Peter said. I just send messages. Normal messages. I do not know anything important. Varath stared at him for a long moment. Then he turned to a soldier and nodded. The soldier raised his weapon and shot Peter in the leg. The young man fell to the ground, screaming. Blood spread across the metal floor. Wrong answer, Varath said. He looked at the other prisoners. Does anyone else want to lie to me? People started to cry. Some looked away. Daniel felt Lily press her face against his chest. He covered her ears with his hands. Varath walked through the crowd again. He stopped in front of Commander Mitchell. You are the leader, he said. You have the codes. Commander Mitchell stood straight. Her face was calm, but Daniel could see her hands shaking. I will never give you anything, she said. Varath smiled that terrible smile again. You do not need to, he said. I will find someone who will. He turned and looked directly at Daniel. Daniel felt his heart stop. How did Varath know? How did he find out that Daniel, as a senior engineer, had access to the station's communication systems? He had helped set them up years ago. He knew the backup codes that even Commander Mitchell did not know. Varath walked toward him. He stopped 2 feet away and looked down at Lily. Beautiful child, Varath said. It would be sad if something happened to her. Daniel stood up slowly. He pushed Lily behind him. What do you want? Daniel asked. The codes, Varath said. Give them to me, and your daughter will live. Daniel's mind raced. If he gave the codes, the Victari could listen to all human military communications. They could plan attacks. They could kill millions. But if he refused, Lily would die. I need time to think, Daniel said. Varath laughed. It was a cold and empty sound. You have no time, he said. Every hour you refuse, 1 prisoner will die. After 10 hours, the child is next. He turned and walked away. The soldiers followed him. The cargo bay was silent. Daniel looked at the other prisoners. They were staring at him. Some with fear. Some with hope. Some with anger. Commander Mitchell walked over to him. You cannot give them the codes, she said quietly. You know what they will do. I know, Daniel said. Then you must be strong. Daniel looked at his daughter. She was looking up at him with those big eyes. She did not understand what was happening. She only knew that her father was in trouble. I have an idea, Daniel said. Commander Mitchell frowned. What idea? Daniel took a deep breath. He knew what he was about to do might kill him, but he also knew it was the only way to save everyone. I will make a different deal, he said. An hour later, the soldiers came for Daniel. They took him to a room in another part of the station. Varath was waiting for him, sitting in a chair made of metal and bones. Have you decided to give me the codes? Varath asked. No, Daniel said. Varath's eyes narrowed. Then your daughter dies in 9 hours. Wait, Daniel said. I have a different offer. Varath leaned forward. He seemed curious. Speak, he said. Daniel stood straight. He looked the alien commander in the eyes. You do not really need the codes, Daniel said. You have enough power to take what you want. The codes are just a game to you. A way to test humans. To see if we break. Varath did not respond, but Daniel knew he was right. I will give you a better game, Daniel said. Take me instead of the others. Do whatever you want of me. Beat me. Burn me. Break every bone in my body. But do not hurt the prisoners. Do not hurt my daughter. If I scream, if I beg, if I break, you win. You can kill them all. But if I survive, you let us go. Varath stared at him for a long time. The room was completely silent. Then Voreth started to laugh. It was a deep, rumbling sound that filled the room. "You are either very brave or very stupid," Voreth said. "Maybe both," Daniel said. Voreth stood up. He walked around Daniel slowly, like a predator studying its prey. "How long do you think you can last?" Voreth asked. "As long as I need to," Daniel said. Voreth stopped in front of him. He looked into Daniel's eyes for a long moment. 40 days, Voreth said. "If you survive 40 days, I will let you all go. If you break before that, everyone dies." Daniel felt a cold wave wash over him. 40 days of torture. 40 days of pain. He did not know if any human could survive that. But he thought of Lily. He thought of Maria. He thought of his promise. "I accept," Daniel said. Voreth smiled. "Then we begin tomorrow," he said. "Rest well, human. You will need it." The soldiers took Daniel back to the cargo bay. He walked to Lily and held her tight. "What happened, Dad?" she asked. "Everything will be okay," Daniel said. "I made a deal. We are going to be safe." He did not tell her the truth. He could not. She was just a child. She did not need to know what was coming. That night, Daniel did not sleep. He lay on the cold floor and stared at the ceiling. He thought about his life, about his choices, about the pain that was waiting for him. But he also thought about love, about what a father would do for his child, about the strength that comes from protecting someone you care about. The Vectari thought humans were weak. They thought they could break anyone. They were wrong. Daniel closed his eyes and waited for morning. Whatever came next, he was ready. The first day was the worst, not because of the pain, but because Daniel did not know what to expect. The soldiers came for him at dawn. They took him to a small room with gray walls and no windows. There was a chair in the middle of the room. Metal straps hung from its arms and legs. They tied Daniel to the chair and left him alone. He waited for an hour, maybe 2. Time moved slowly in that room. Then Voreth entered with 2 other Vectari. One carried a box of metal tools. The other carried a small device that looked like a black cube. "Let us begin," Voreth said. They beat him first. Simple punches and kicks. Daniel had been in fights before, back on Earth when he was young. He knew how to take a hit. But the Vectari were stronger than any human. Each punch felt like a hammer. Each kick knocked the air from his lungs. After an hour, they stopped. Daniel's face was swollen. His ribs were broken. Blood dripped from his mouth onto the floor. "How do you feel?" Voreth asked. Daniel looked up at him. He did not speak. Voreth nodded slowly. "Good. You are stronger than I expected." But this was just the beginning. They brought out the black cube. It was a neural device designed to send pain signals directly to the brain. Voreth placed it on Daniel's chest. When he turned it on, Daniel felt like his entire body was on fire. He screamed. He could not help it. The pain was beyond anything he had ever known. It was not in his body. It was in his mind. It was everywhere. But even as he screamed, he did not beg. He did not ask them to stop. He closed his eyes and thought of Lily. He thought of her smile. He thought of her laugh. He thought of the way she hugged him every morning. After 10 minutes, Voreth turned off the device. "Interesting," he said. "Most humans beg by now. You are different." Daniel opened his eyes. His vision was blurry. His heart was beating so fast he thought it would burst. "Is that all you have?" Daniel said. His voice was weak but steady. Voreth's eyes widened slightly. Then he laughed. "I like you, human," he said. "This will be fun." The soldiers took Daniel back to the cargo bay that evening. He could barely walk. His body was covered in bruises. His clothes were torn and bloody. The other prisoners stared at him as he entered. Some of them looked away. Some of them whispered to each other. Daniel heard words like traitor and coward and collaborator. They did not know what he was doing. They thought he had made a deal to save himself. Only Commander Mitchell understood. She came to him and helped him sit down. How bad? She asked quietly. Bad enough, Daniel said. But I can take it. Lily ran to him. She stopped when she saw his face. Her eyes filled with tears. Dad, she whispered. What did they do to you? Daniel forced himself to smile. It hurt, but he did it anyway. Just some bumps and bruises, he said. Nothing to worry about. Lily knew he was lying, but she did not say anything. She just sat next to him and held his hand. The days that followed were all the same. Every morning, the soldiers took Daniel away. Every evening, they brought him back. Each day, the torture was different. Sometimes they beat him. Sometimes they used the neural device. Sometimes they burned him with hot metal. Sometimes they froze him with cold gas. They did not give him much food, just enough to keep him alive. They did not let him sleep for more than a few hours at a time. They wanted to break his body and his mind, but Daniel did not break. He thought of Maria every day. He remembered her voice, her touch, the way she looked at him on their wedding day. She had believed in him more than anyone. He could not fail her now. He thought of Lily every night. When the pain was too much, when he wanted to give up, he closed his eyes and saw her face. She was counting on him. 200 people were counting on him. He could not stop. The other prisoners watched him come and go. They saw his wounds grow worse every day. They saw his body get thinner and weaker. But they also saw something else. They saw that he was still standing. They saw that he was still fighting. Some of them started to understand. They heard whispers about the deal Daniel had made, about the 40 days, about what he was doing to save them all. Peter, the young man who had been shot in the leg, was the first to speak up. He is not a traitor, Peter said to a group of prisoners. He is saving us. How do you know? Someone asked. Because if he was helping them, they would not hurt him, Peter said. Look at him. Does that look like a man who is helping the enemy? The whispers changed after that. Not everyone believed it, but some did. They started to look at Daniel with respect instead of suspicion. On day 20, Daniel could barely move. His body was covered in scars. 3 of his fingers were broken. 1 of his eyes was swollen shut. But when Vorath asked him if he wanted to stop, Daniel said no. Why? Vorath asked. He seemed genuinely confused. Why do you continue? The pain will only get worse. You will die before the 40 days are over. Daniel looked at him with his one good eye. Because that is what humans do, he said. We do not give up. Not for ourselves. For the people we love. Vorath stared at him for a long moment. Something flickered in his black eyes. It might have been surprise. It might have been respect. Daniel could not tell. You are a strange species, Vorath said. Weak in body, but strong in spirit. I have conquered 100 worlds, but I have never met anyone like you. Then maybe you have not been paying attention, Daniel said. Vorath laughed. It was different this time. Less cruel. More genuine. Perhaps, he said. Perhaps. On day 30, Commander Mitchell managed to send a secret message to a passing human ship. It was a risk. If the Vectari found out, they would kill everyone. But the message got through. Help was coming. Daniel did not know about the message. He only knew that he had 10 more days to survive. 10 more days of pain. 10 more days of fighting. He could do it. He had to do it. For Lily. For Maria. For everyone. On day 39, the sky outside the station lit up with fire. Ships appeared from nowhere. Human ships. Military ships. They attacked the Vectari warship with everything they had. Daniel heard the explosions from his cell. He did not know what was happening. He only knew that something had changed. The soldiers did not come for him that day, and by evening, the war was over. The human soldiers found Daniel in a small cell near the back of the station. He was lying on the floor, barely breathing. His body was thin and broken. His skin was pale and covered in scars. When they lifted him onto a stretcher, he weighed almost nothing. "We need a medic," one of the soldiers shouted. "This man is barely alive." Daniel opened his eyes for a moment. He saw bright lights and unfamiliar faces. "Lily," he whispered. "Where is Lily?" "Your daughter is safe," a woman's voice said. "All the prisoners are safe. You saved them." Daniel closed his eyes and smiled. Then everything went dark. He woke up 3 weeks later in a hospital on Earth. The room was white and clean. There were machines around his bed that made soft beeping sounds. Sunlight came through a window. Real sunlight. Not the fake lights of a space station. A doctor came to see him every day. Her name was Susan. She was a kind woman with short gray hair and a warm smile. "You are very lucky to be alive," she said. "Your body has been through severe trauma. Broken bones, internal injuries, nerve damage. But you are healing. Slowly but surely. How long will I be here?" Daniel asked. "At least 3 months," Susan said. "Your body needs time to recover. And we need to make sure there are no long-term effects from the torture." Daniel nodded. 3 months was a long time, but he did not mind. He was alive. Lily was alive. That was all that mattered. Lily visited him every day. She was staying with a family friend in the city. She brought him flowers and books and drawings she had made. She told him about school and her new friends and the things she was learning. "I missed you, Dad," she said one day, holding his hand. "I missed you too," Daniel said. "But I never stopped thinking about you. Not for 1 second." Lily smiled. It was the most beautiful thing Daniel had ever seen. After 3 months, Daniel was allowed to leave the hospital. He was not fully healed. He walked with a limp. His left hand did not work properly. There were scars on his face that would never go away. But he was alive. He took Lily back to Oregon, to the small town where he had grown up. His parents still lived there, in the same house where he had spent his childhood. His brother Kevin lived nearby with his wife and 2 kids. His sister Claire had moved away, but she came back when she heard Daniel was coming home. Daniel expected a warm welcome. He expected hugs and tears and joy. He had survived something terrible. He had saved 200 lives. He thought his family would be proud. He was wrong. His mother opened the door when he knocked. She looked at him for a long moment. Her face was not happy. It was cold and hard. "Daniel," she said. Her voice was flat. "Hi, Mom," Daniel said. "It is good to see you." She did not hug him. She stepped aside and let him in, but she did not smile. Inside, his father was sitting in his favorite chair. Kevin and Claire were there too. They all looked at Daniel with the same cold expression. "What is going on?" Daniel asked. "Why is everyone looking at me like that?" Kevin stood up. His face was red with anger. "You know what you did," Kevin said. "Do not pretend you do not know." Daniel felt a cold weight in his stomach. "What are you talking about?" he asked. "The survivors told us everything," Claire said. Her voice was sharp. "They said you made a deal with the aliens. They said you let yourself be used while everyone else suffered. They said you are a coward and a traitor." Daniel could not believe what he was hearing. The survivors did not know the truth. They had seen him being taken away every day, but they did not know why. They thought he had betrayed them. "That is not what happened," Daniel said. "I made a deal to save everyone. I took the torture so they would not hurt the prisoners. I did it to protect Lily. "That is not what we heard," his father said. He did not look up from his chair. "We heard you gave them information. We heard you helped them." "That is a lie," Daniel said. His voice was rising. "I never gave them anything. I suffered for 40 days. Look at me. Look at my scars. Does this look like someone who helped the enemy?" No one answered. They just stared at him with those cold, judging eyes. Kevin shook his head slowly. "You should have died fighting," he said. "That is what a real man would have done. Instead, you let them use you. You let them break you. You are a disgrace to this family." Daniel felt like he had been hit in the chest. He had survived 40 days of torture. He had endured pain that no human should ever have to endure. And now his own brother was calling him a disgrace. "Get out," his mother said quietly. "You are not welcome here." Daniel stood there for a long moment. He looked at his parents, at his brother and sister, at the family he had loved all his life. They looked back at him with nothing but shame and anger. "Fine," Daniel said. His voice was calm, but inside he was breaking. "If that is what you want, I will go." He turned and walked out the door. Lily was waiting for him on the porch. She had heard everything. "Dad," she said. Her eyes were filled with tears. "They are wrong. I know what you did. I know the truth." Daniel knelt down and hugged her. He held her tight and let his own tears fall. "I know," he whispered. "But sometimes the truth is not enough." They left Oregon that day. Daniel found a small apartment in another city. He got a job as a mechanic fixing cars and trucks. It was simple work, but it kept him busy. Lily went to school and made new friends. Daniel did not try to contact his family again. He knew they would not listen. They had made up their minds about him. Nothing he said would change that dot, but the hardest part was not his family. The hardest part was the other survivors. Some of them had moved to the same city. They saw Daniel on the street sometimes. They whispered behind his back. They pointed at him and shook their heads. "That is the coward from Kepler Station," they said. "The one who made a deal with the Vectari." Daniel heard the whispers. He saw the pointing fingers, but he never defended himself. He never told them the truth. He had made his choice. He had saved them all. That was enough for him, but it was not enough for Lily. She grew angrier every day. She heard what people said about her father. She saw how they treated him, and she knew it was all lies. "Why do you not tell them the truth?" she asked one night. "Why do you not make them understand?" Daniel looked at her with sad eyes. "Because it would not matter," he said. "They believe what they want to believe. The truth is just a story to them. They do not want to hear it." "But it is not fair," Lily said. "You are a hero. You saved everyone. They should know that." Daniel smiled and touched her face. "You know," he said, "that is all that matters to me." But Lily did not accept that answer. She made a promise to herself that night. One day, she would find a way to show the world who her father really was. One day, the truth would come out. 5 years passed like water through fingers. Lily was 14 now, no longer a little girl. She had her father's quiet strength and her mother's fierce heart. She was smart, too. Top of her class in science and history. Her teacher said she could do anything she wanted with her life. But Lily only wanted one thing. She wanted justice for her father. Daniel had grown older in those 5 years. His hair was gray now. His limp was worse than before. He still worked as a mechanic, fixing cars in a small shop downtown. He never complained. He never talked about the past. He just worked and came home and spent time with his daughter. But Lily saw the pain in his eyes. She saw how he looked at old photographs of the family. She saw how he flinched when people whispered behind his back. The world had called him a coward, and it had broken something inside him. Lily spent every spare moment searching for answers. She went to the library and read everything she could find about the Kepler station incident. She talked to reporters and historians. She sent messages to military officials asking for information, though most people ignored her. She was just a kid. What could she possibly know? But Lily did not give up. She learned how to use computers better than anyone her age. She learned how to find information that was hidden. She learned how to dig deep into files that no one wanted her to see. On her 14th birthday, she found something. It was buried in a military database, locked behind codes and passwords. But Lily was clever. She found a way in. And what she found changed everything. The Vectari ship that had attacked Kepler station had been destroyed during the rescue. But its data core had survived. The military had recovered it and stored it in a secret facility. No one had looked at the information inside. They thought it was just technical data, but it was much more than that. Lily spent 3 weeks going through the files. Most of it was in the Vectari language, which had been translated by military computers. She found ship logs, communication records, and then she found something that made her heart stop: video recordings. The Vectari had recorded everything that happened on Kepler station. Every interrogation, every torture session, every conversation between Vorath and Daniel. It was all there. Lily watched the first recording with tears in her eyes. She saw her father being beaten. She saw him screaming from the neural device. She saw him bleeding and broken on the floor, but she also saw him stand up again. She saw him refuse to break. She saw him look Vorath in the eyes and tell him that he would never give up. She saw everything. The recordings proved what Lily had always known. Daniel Harper had not betrayed anyone. He had not given the Vectari any information. He had made a deal to protect the prisoners. He had taken 40 days of torture to save 200 lives. He was not a coward. He was a hero. Lily took the recordings to a reporter named Susan Grant. Susan was famous for exposing lies and fighting for justice. She listened to Lily's story. She watched the recordings. And she agreed to help. 1 month later, the truth came out. The recordings were shown on every news channel in the world. People watched Daniel Harper endure things that no human should ever have to endure. They heard Vorath say that he had never met anyone with such strength. They saw the deal that Daniel had made and the price he had paid. The story spread like fire. Within a week, everyone knew the truth. The survivors of Kepler station came forward to apologize. Peter, the young man who had been shot in the leg, gave a long interview about what Daniel had done. "He saved us," Peter said, his voice breaking. "All of us. And we treated him like a criminal. I will never forgive myself for that." Commander Grace Mitchell, who had retired after the incident, released a statement of her own. "Daniel Harper is the bravest man I have ever known," she wrote. "He endured unimaginable suffering to protect people who did not even believe in him. He is a true hero, and I am honored to have known him." The messages came from everywhere. From strangers, from old friends, from people who had whispered behind Daniel's back for 5 years. They all said the same thing. They were sorry. They were wrong. They wanted to make things right, but the messages that mattered most came from Daniel's family. Kevin was the first to come. He stood on Daniel's doorstep with tears running down his face. He could not speak. He just stood there, waiting for his brother to say something. Daniel looked at him for a long moment. He remembered the day Kevin had called him a disgrace. He remembered the cold eyes and the harsh words. He remembered walking out of his childhood home with nothing but his daughter by his side. Part of him wanted to close the door. Part of him wanted to make Kevin feel the same pain he had felt. But Daniel was not that kind of man. He had never been that kind of man. He stepped aside and let his brother in. Kevin fell into his arms, sobbing like a child. He said he was sorry. He said he was a fool. He said he did not deserve to be forgiven. Maybe not, Daniel said quietly. But I forgive you anyway. His parents came next. His mother cried and held him for a long time. His father, who had always been a quiet man, said 3 words that he had never said before. I was wrong. Daniel nodded. It was enough. His sister Claire came last. She brought her children, who had never met their uncle. She apologized for believing the lies. She promised to make things better. Daniel welcomed them all. Not because they deserved it, but because he understood something that they did not. Forgiveness was not about the other person. It was about letting go of the pain. It was about moving forward. It was about being free. The Vectari had tried to break Daniel Harper. They had used every weapon. They had pain, fear, isolation. They had pushed him to the edge of death, but they had failed. Daniel was still standing. He was still fighting. And now the whole world knew the truth. Lily stood next to her father on the day he received a medal from the government. It was the highest honor they could give to a civilian. The ceremony was held in a great hall filled with important people. Cameras flashed. People clapped, but Daniel did not care about the medal or the cameras or the important people. He only cared about one thing. He looked down at his daughter and he smiled. Thank you, he said, for never giving up on me. Lily smiled back. Her eyes were shining with tears. You never gave up on us, she said. I just returned the favor. They hugged there in front of everyone. Father and daughter. Survivor and savior. The universe was full of powerful species. Species with great ships and terrible weapons. Species that conquered worlds and destroyed civilizations. They believed that strength meant the ability to hurt others. They believed that power meant making people afraid. They were wrong. True strength was not about causing pain. It was about enduring it for someone you love. True power was not about making others fear you. It was about giving them hope. Daniel Harper had shown the universe what it really meant to be human. He had shown them that even the weakest body could hold the strongest heart. And that was something no alien would ever understand. But they would remember. They would always remember.